So let's start by talking about what we believe here at WOW. We believe the purpose of a business is not to make money. We believe the purpose of a business is to accomplish something, to achieve some good in the world, to make the world a better place. And we're so heartened to see so many of you joining us here today and watching this back in the future that believe the same thing, that businesses should be a force for good. In fact, businesses must be a force for good right now. And that philosophy is something that we've been talking about for a long while now. You will all recognize the beautiful business philosophy. And for those of you who are new to this concept, let me explain a little bit more about it. Beautiful businesses are those that are led with purpose by people who care, guided by a clear strategy and soulfully grown. So where does profit sit in this philosophy of beautiful business? Well, we believe it sits right at the very heart of it. Whatever good you hope to do in the world, whatever cause you are championing, you will not get very far without profit. It is the fuel for your journey. And it's really important that you have enough of it to do the good that you want to do in the world. In fact, our research shows that the businesses that are doing the most good are also making the most money. And I'll share a few of those examples later. But let's start with purpose, because as I say, the purpose of business is not to make money, it's to accomplish something. And I thought it'd be useful to explore what it is that we all want to accomplish. And a big fan of Simon Sinek. I know a lot of you are as well. And his seminal book, Start With Why. And it's really important that we all understand why it is that we're doing this. A lot of you will be familiar with that. If not, there's the book you can check out. There's the 10-minute TED Talk that provides a good introduction to that as a concept. But what Simon talks about is really understanding what fires you up, what gets you going, what is your why you get out of bed in the morning. And that's you as an individual, but you can also extend it to your team and get your team inspired about your why. And something that we did at WOW several years ago, as we were creating this or codifying this concept of a beautiful business, we actually sat the team down and we looked at really what was the DNA at WOW. We'd been going a few years by this point, but we really wanted to understand and articulate why we were doing what we were doing, what we believed in, what mattered to us, what our why was. And we did that as a collective exercise. We had various focus groups, we had various questionnaires. We did this over a number of sessions, over a number of months actually. And we boiled down to this concept of beautiful business and started to help piece together our vision and our mission. And it's helped us, as a group, get inspired about what we're doing. And if you can I strongly suggest you do something similar. First of all, get clear on why you're doing it, but also understand why your team come and work for you, what it is that they want to achieve, the difference they want to make in the world, what fires them up, what are they passionate about? Because when you can harness that collective energy, when you can get everyone together, focusing on that common goal, it is inspiring. And you would be amazed. Well, some of you are at this point already. You know how good it feels when you can get to that point. And the key is to involve your team in that process. Then we start to get a little bit more tactical and start to think about how we create a plan for the impact that we want to have in the world. And this is really interesting, actually. It's just starting to think about, okay, so this is what I do in a business. Wow, we're an accountancy practice, right? But I believe our impact as businesses go well beyond what we do, whatever it is that you do day to day, whatever it is that your clients pay you to do. I believe we have an impact way beyond that and have the potential to have even more of a bigger impact. So what is it that you want to achieve? What is your plan? And I thought it'd be useful just to share a little framework for your purpose and a framework for that impact. And we think about things in 3 areas. We think about communities, and I know a lot of you out there do this too. So what impact do you want to have on your communities? And communities could be, say, for example, we work with a lot of agencies. So the agency community, it could be the community of your peers that you work with, your industry. It could be, if you work with a particular group of clients, it could be the impact you want to have on that community. It could be the community, I know a lot of people, we've got some very techie clients as well, and they get very involved in those technical communities and contribute actively towards them, inspiring the next generation into that industry, doing a lot of work with schools and universities to bring people in. And that's, again, bringing people into community doing good in those communities. But there's also, of course, our local communities. And, you know, a lot of us will have charities we support locally, and we'll look to do good in the area where we tend to have our main office, although that's slowly getting becoming a thing of the past now, as more and more of us are hiring around the country, more of us are working increasingly remotely. But certainly you could think about the impact that you want to have on the communities that you operate in and that you serve, and you can start to think about how you can make a difference in the communities. So that's the first area to ponder, the impact you want to have on your communities. The next area to think about is the impact that you might want to have on wider society. There are so many areas of our society right now that are simply just not fair. I mean, you just have to look at where we're at in this country, let alone globally. And there are a number of things that are just not right. And we can't tackle all of these challenges, but I see more and more businesses finding causes that they're passionate about and saying, look, we can't solve all of the world problems, but you know what, this one here, this current wrong in society is one that we are going to attempt to right, or at least highlight and create some energy behind, and look to create a positive impact in. And you know, you just look at the work that Ellie and the team at the Agency Collective are doing around diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, I've learned so much, and I thought, oh yeah, we're a diverse team at WOW, and you suddenly, when you look into this subject in more detail and really educate yourself, you realize that there's so much more to really understand and so much more work to do. And that my learning has come from being inspired by the work that Ellie and her team are doing over at the Agency Collective. And I know there's a number of you that have causes that you're passionate about when it comes to societal issues. And I think it's brilliant, the work that we are all collectively doing to right some of the wrongs right now. And the final area for you to think about your impact in, and again, more and more businesses are thinking about the planet. You know, humans are living at a rate that is consuming the planet. We know that there's a real challenge with global warming at the moment. And I feel incredibly inspired by the role that businesses, in particular small businesses like us, are playing in this. We are, you know, we're responsible for emissions too. Everything that we do has a carbon footprint. Sat there with our videos on watching this has a carbon footprint, even though we might be at home. And it's really important that we start to understand that impact and look to reduce that impact we have on the world. And you know, so many of us are doing things like planting trees with Ecology. A lot of you will be familiar with this logo here of Ecology. For several years now, have giving businesses and individuals the opportunity to plant trees to offset the carbon that they produce. There's our little forest, nearly 19,000 trees, approaching 3 years in. And you know, so many of you will recognize those forests. You'll have your own. But really, that's just the starting point. Planting trees to offset is really the starting point. There's something more that we need to head towards, and that's net zero. And you know, net zero is different to being carbon neutral. Carbon neutral is where it is like an offsetting. So we currently produce this amount of carbon, so we need to offset that amount of carbon. If we get that to zero, we're all good. Well, not really, because actually what net zero is about is reducing 90% is the target, right? And that's an incredibly ambitious target. 90% of our tier 1, 2, 3 emissions, and I'm not going to go into the definitions, but our main emissions by 2050. And so the first step is to reduce actively. Well, the first step is to understand. It's to understand what we are producing as a business. And to do that, we need to understand our supply chain, and then we can look to reduce that once we understand. And then we can look to, you know, there will be some unavoidable emissions that we can then offset, but we need to understand and then reduce. And that's where, again, Ecology have stepped in. They have a piece of software which they're developing at the moment. It's in beta. I've seen it. It's really cool. It's quite basic at the moment, but we're going to work on it over they're going to work on it over the next few months, and by the time it's fully released, it's going to give you the opportunity to do all the things I said, to analyze where you're at, to set a plan to reduce, and then you can offset the rest. And if you want to find out more about that, or just join the wait list for when it's actually fully released, there's the link there. We're always going to pop it in the chat. So wowco.uk/ecology, take you straight through the page, just enter your details, and then when they're ready with the product, you can start doing those three things: analyzing, reducing, and then offsetting. So that's one example of what people are doing when it comes to the planet. Now, once you're clear on how you'll create your positive impact, potentially looking at those three areas, you can then really bring your purpose to life. So this is something that I've really enjoyed researching as part of this preparation for this presentation. Watching how people are bringing it to life, looking at how they are sharing stories about the impact that they're having. You know, don't keep this to yourself. You know, I think one of the great responsibilities we have is to inspire other people, and a great way to inspire other people is to say, look what we're doing, look at the good that we're doing, because what that does is it creates positive ripples. Other people look at that and go, oh, that's pretty cool. What could we do? How could we add to this? And it grows and it grows and it grows, and it creates this this real sense of that we're all doing good together. And I love that. I love hearing those stories. I love the fact that we're all part of this. You know, we're of one world, and we have that responsibility to make a positive difference and to be good ancestors. I watched a great talk the other day about, you know, what sort of ancestor are you going to be? What sort of legacy are you going to leave? What do you want your grandkids to say about you? And part of it will be the impact you make on them personally, but part of it will be the legacy that you leave for the planet, for them to live in. So I love hearing those stories, and increasingly, as well as the stories about what people are doing, I see more and more businesses actually sharing the impact, actually measuring the impact, and saying, all right, we did this activity, or we had this campaign to do good, and now let's look at the actual impact that had. They're going one stage further and measuring impact, and then they're sharing that impact. And I've got a few examples here. I'm just going to switch to website and show you 4 examples of businesses that are measuring their impact and sharing their stories. So this is Search 7. They're a digital marketing agency, and they had this great idea as part of well, their campaign was to raise £77,000 by the end of 2021 to celebrate their 10th birthday, with £50,000 dedicated to Rocking Horse. So you can see their story and the timeline, and they've kept us updated on how they're doing. It's like a little yeah, it's a great story about what they've done, how they've done it, and then specifically in terms of measuring the impact, you can see where that money has gone, the tangible difference that they've made. They've supported a helpline, they've paid for essential training, they've paid for life-saving eye surgery, and then the impact that has had on real people. So, and the other charities that they've supported as well, because it's not just this charity that they support. So that's just one example there. In terms of measuring impact, Platypus Digital, another agency, have gone even further. They've looked at the UN sustainability goals. There's a number of UN sustainability goals, you can see them there. And they've looked at all of the projects that they do. They work a lot with charities, and they've shared this in a blog each year. So they talk very candidly about how they deliver positive change in 2 ways: through the work they do and how they work within the company. They talk about how they attribute that impact. They do things like every employee gets £1,000 to donate to charity of their choice each year, and then who they've donated to. Employees have 10% of their time to work for charity, and then they take you through each project and the impact that has had, you know, in detail. You know, this is a very detailed report. You can see they are measuring their impact unequivocally, which I think is brilliant. Crystal Hosting have taken the green approach to the next level. We'll actually see what this company have done. So they're 100% green hosting, which is great, and they talk about their philosophy. But look at their pledge, right? Crystal has committed to protecting or planting 1 billion And yes, that's 1 billion trees by 2030. And they're well on their way. I think they've planted over 1 million so far. And you can see their progress. I mean, again, they use ecology amongst others. You can track their progress as you go on. So far, yeah, if we just quickly click on ecology, you might be able to see their forest. Yeah, they've planted over 1 million trees with ecology. So they're on their way by 2030 to 1 billion. I think that's really interesting. Now, this company blew me away. So this is a company called 90. They're a consultancy. You know, what they do is really interesting. So if you look at their work, they do insurance innovation training, insurance insights, various bits of consultancy, and they take insurance ideas to market. But what they stand for is really interesting. So if you look at their values, I mean, these are values that you might find on others' website, but others first, and they go into detail: do the right thing, smile and laugh, people matter, learn and grow. Those are things you might find on other people's websites. What you won't find is things like this. So they are on a mission to change the world. 90% of their distributable profits go to charity, and then the 10% left over goes to their staff. And when you see their 5-year impact here, when it comes to measuring impact, you can see very, very clearly that 85,000 people have been given safe water for a year. We've got 36,000 people helped in Kenya reduced infant immortality. You can read this for yourself, but they are measuring their impact very, very clearly. And look at their goals with this, right? Their vision is to give away, wait for it, 1 billion to good causes by 2043. And then that next milestone is to give away 1.5 million by 2022. So, you know, when it comes to doing good in the world, when it comes to measuring impact, when it comes to setting high bars, I think that's something that blew me away when I saw it. What the team at 90 are doing, the impact that they're having, well beyond what they do. You know, this is nothing to do with insurance, you know, consultancy for insurance companies. This is about the legacy that they will leave as a business. And the question I have for all of us is what legacy do we want to leave as a business? Now, that was part one of the presentation. Before we go into the workshop element, I said I'd talk a little bit about profit and the role that plays. So, I mean, using 90 as an example, 90% of their distributable profits go to charity. If they're not making any money, they're not going to be able to give away 1 billion. So you can see why profit is important in our mission, in fulfilling our purposes. It's going to help us achieve whatever we want to achieve. And I could talk about this all day. I have 7 minutes to talk to you about profit. So I'm going to share with you 6 very quick things that you can do to impact the profit you can make. So these will be things you can, I guess some of them you might already be doing, but as with all of this stuff, there's always the next level, right? What is the next level for you? That's my challenge for you today. So number 1, have a plan to make money. And this might sound terribly obvious, but I'm still amazed at how many businesses don't think about profit first, don't work out how much profit they're going to make or how much profit they want to make and then work their way back. Instead, they think, well, how much money what was our revenue last year? Let's add 5%, 10%, 20%, and hope we make money at the end of it. It's really important that you think carefully, that you have a plan, that you have a spreadsheet that shows you what revenue you're going to deliver, that's clearly broken down, what your costs are going to be clearly broken down. And you know very, very clearly how you're going to make money, where you're going to make money. And you have confidence that you will make the profit that you need. That's the critical thing. Do we all have the confidence that we will make the profit that we need to keep the lights on and achieve the impact that we want to make? It all starts with that very, very clear plan. Number 2, it's really important to measure your gross profit percentage properly. And by properly, I guess what I mean here is, this is really a message for service businesses in particular. I see service businesses not do this in a way that's really meaningful. So to do it in a meaningful way, it's really important that in your chart of accounts that you put all of the costs associated with your chargeable team members. So any team member that is working on client work, you don't put them down in overheads, you put them up as a cost of sale, because that would allow you to work out your gross profit margin in a far more meaningful way. There's a formula that I've shared previously that looks like this. Don't need to take a screenshot of it because there's a 6-minute video that talks you through this if you're a service business, and we're always just going to share the link in it. So if you've not seen that before, then grab the link and go and watch it afterwards. But I thought I'd spare those people who've heard it before and are doing it properly. But it's really important that you watch that and just check you're not check you're measuring it correctly. And then once you've got your gross profit percentage, you can start to benchmark yourself. And that's going to be different depending what industry you're in. You know, if you're in a product-based industry, you're going to have very, very different gross profit margins to if you're in a hairdressing business or in a restaurant, or if you're in a service business. You know, I have been studying service businesses a lot over the years. I've got benchmark data for agencies. Gross profit percentage for agencies far too low, 44%. We work with a lot of consultancies as well. Theirs is higher, 55%. There's absolutely no reason if you're a service business, regardless of what sector you're in, that you shouldn't have a gross profit percentage above 50%. That's where we all need to aim for as a minimum, is minimum 50% gross profit margin if we're a service business. If you're beneath that, you're underperforming. You will not get the net profit margin that you need longer term to really accomplish you know, any of your great ambitions. It's really important that we have 50% or more. I know several businesses that are doing 60-70% gross profit margin. Guess what? They end up with more net profit at the end of the day. So this is your key indicator, your gross profit margin. And in that video, I also talk about how you can use Xero to measure your gross profit margin by department, by product, by service. And that's really powerful because it allows you to do this next thing, which is work out where you make money and where you lose it. I see so many businesses that know it as a whole, but they haven't broken their business down into those smaller chunks to work out, well, okay, which products and services do I make my most money on? Which departments do I make my most money on? Which clients do I make my most money on? Like you know which are your top spenders, but which are your most profitable? Which of my individual team members do we make the most money on? So the smaller chunks you can break this down in, the greater you're able to work out where you make money, but crucially where you lose money. We helped a business sell last year for a lot of money, and that journey with them started several years ago. And when they first came to us, so they were an SEO agency and a web agency, or 50-50. And one of the first things we did was we did just this. We analyzed the two parts of their business, and we showed them that the SEO business part of the business was where they made all their money. The web business they pretty much broke even. And once they saw that, they made a very simple decision. They weren't going to take on any more web work unless it had an SEO contract attached to it, because that was the recurring profitable work. So they're happy to do web at cost, effectively, because it's quite hard to make money out of web design, as those doing it will know. They were happy to do that if it led to the profitable SEO work, and that transformed their business. That one piece of information set them on a journey that led to them eventually selling, I think last year. So what do you not have? What information do you not have that would give you the ability to make decisions like that, transformational decisions that would allow you to make more money? Next point, very quickly, quick tip, is to create a winning pricing strategy. Now, pricing, again, is a huge topic. I've talked about this a lot. I'm going to keep it really simple for you. The biggest thing you can do is read this book, Pricing Creativity by Blair Enns. Again, it applies if you're a service business. Rory's going to share the link. Seriously, it's a brilliant book. It has been transformational for so many businesses. I could talk about it. We don't have time. Go and buy the book. It's the best thing that you can do. And if you're a WOW client, we talk about this in a little bit more detail in an event we're running next week, Pricing in an Inflation-Fueled World. We just think that this is a really hot topic right now, and we wanted to bring our clients together to share a few tips on how you can, some of the pricing strategies open to you, how to manage price increases right now, and also we'll be touching on wage inflation as well. Unfortunately, it is just a WOW client event, so if you're a WOW client, you'll have already got the invite, and hopefully see you next week. And if you're not, sorry, but hopefully you can become a WOW client and maybe attend the next one. We do these regularly for clients, little events and content to tackle some of the hot topics right now. So final point I just want to share on profitability is to focus on your high value products and services. Again, once you've got this information, it allows you to work out where you make money, where you don't, and you can disproportionately focus on your high value products and services. That has been key for so many of the clients that we've worked with. Is once they've worked this out, they said, right, this is the thing that we're really good at. This is the thing that clients really want. They disproportionately value. We can charge more for it. This is where we make our money. We're going to do the majority of that. It doesn't stop them doing some of the other stuff, because sometimes some of the other stuff attracts clients in to give them the opportunity to sell this other thing that they do, where they make all the money. But we all need to understand where we make money, and then we can focus on the bits that make the biggest difference.